NCAA Women's Basketball Power Rankings. Could UCLA make the Final Four? The UCLA Bruins are someplace they've never been before this season. And we don't just mean their membership in the Big Ten. They are 20-0 for the first time in program history. And this is their 10th week atop ESPN's Women's College Basketball Power Rankings. They are the only unbeaten team left in Division I women's or men's hoops. The Bruins are one game away from matching their program's longest winning streak. They had 21 consecutive victories in 1977-78, when they won the AIAA National Championship and finished 27-3. UCLA has never been to the Women's Final Four in the NCAA tournament, which began with the 1981-82 season. But the way the Bruins have been playing in 2024-25, they appear to have a good chance to end the season in Tampa. UCLA won its season opener 66-59 over Louisville at the Aflac Replay doubleheader November 4 in Paris. Since, the Bruins have won all 19 games by double digits, another program best streak. What's working? Everything. UCLA ranks first in Division I in rebounding margin, 16.3. Third in field goal percentage defense, 33.5. Fourth in assists per game, 21.2. And fifth in field goal percentage, 49.54. Junior center Lauren Betts, a candidate for National Player of the Year, averages 21.0 points, 9.9 rebounds, and 3.0 blocks. Like to South Carolina, which suffered its only loss this season to UCLA, the Bruins' depth is one of their strengths. Guards Kiki Rice, 13.1 ppg, and Gabriela Jacques, 10.2, join Betts averaging in double figures, while 5 players average between 8.7 to 6.2 ppg. UCLA is coming off an 82-67 victory at Maryland on Sunday, in which Betts had a career-high 33 points on 14 of 15 shooting, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 blocks. In UCLA's past 4 victories, Betts totaled 104 points, 25 blocks, and shot 72% from the field. According to ESPN research, she is the only DI women's player with 125th/70% in a 4-game span over the past 25 seasons. 3 of those victories were on the East Coast. Now, for nearly the next month, the Bruins can stay Pacific time, with 4 games at home, 1 crosstown at USC, and 1 at Oregon. UCLA has just 1 game during a current 9-day stretch. The Bruins have time to rest and work in practice. They're ready to take on February and beyond. The Bruins followed their victory over Baylor at the Coretta Scott King Classic in Newark, New Jersey, on January 20, with wins at Rutgers and Maryland. Rice has hit double figures in scoring in all but 1 game since November 30, and she also had 2 10-assist games in January. The Gamecocks just finished a stretch of defeating 5 ranked teams in a row, including LSU and Tennessee most recently. Joyce Edwards led South Carolina in points scored in 4 of the 5 games. It's not too early to start thinking about how fun her matchup with fellow freshman Sarah Strong of UConn will be when the teams meet February 16. The Irish cruised past Boston College, with guard Hannah Hidalgo scoring 23 points. The closest any ACC foe has come to the Irish is Clemson on January 12. The Tigers lost by 9, but Hidalgo missed that game with an ankle injury. Perhaps the 2 upcoming road games could challenge Notre Dame. The Trojans followed one of their closer games, a 7-point win at Indiana on January 19, with a 79-37 blowout of Purdue last Wednesday. That game included a 31-0 run by USC. For just the second time this season, Juju Watkins, 16 points, did not lead the Trojans in scoring. Freshman Avery Howell did, with 18. Two supreme scorers will be in Carver Hawkeye Arena this Sunday when USC visits. Watkins and Caitlin Clark, whose jersey is being retired by Iowa. The Tigers lost their first game of this season, and 17th in a row to South Carolina, last Friday. The game was delayed a day by bad weather, but the outcome was the same as it has been the past decade plus. In front of a loud and energetic home crowd, the Gamecocks limited LSU to 8 points in the second quarter and won 66-56. The Tigers bounced back from that by beating Texas A&M on Sunday behind floor. Jad Johnson's 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 steals. The Huskies clobbered Villanova for the second time this season. This one was 100-57, but then had an actual semi-close game at Creighton before prevailing 72-61. Sarah Strong had a combined 48 points, 16 rebounds, 8 assists, 7 steals, and 5 blocks despite playing just 22 and 26 minutes in the two games. The Longhorns had 2 big battles last week and came out on top both times. They beat Tennessee 80-76 behind Madison Booker's 26 points, then held on 61-58 at Ole Miss behind 24 points from Taylor Jones. Texas is part of a 3-way tie with LSU and Kentucky behind South Carolina in the SEC. Those could be the top 4 seeds at the SEC tournament, but we'll see how the next month goes. The Bucks have kind of been on a yo-yo recently in power rankings, falling out of the top 10 last week after a surprising loss at Penn State, then jumping back in after victories over Maryland and Nebraska. Freshman Jolie Cambridge, who missed the Penn State game with an injury, returned with 20 points and 8 rebounds against the Terps. Senior Taylor Thierry led the way with 23 points against the Huskers. The biggest power rankings jump of the week belongs to the Blue Devils, who moved up 5 spots. Part of that is the victories they got at SMU and Georgia Tech. Another part is losses by some other teams helped create a ladder for Duke to climb. The Blue Devils won 7 of their 8 games in January and held all those opponents, even in the loss, to fewer than 60 points. Last week, we tagged the Frogs' trip to Oklahoma State as potentially tricky, and it was. They lost 60-59 in Stillwater, which helped the Cowgirls return to the AP Top 25. But TCU followed that disappointment with a historic win. Its first over Baylor since February 1990, when both teams were still in the old Southwest Conference. Baylor was part of the launch of the Big 12 in 1996-97, and TCU joined in 2012-13. The Wildcats' shooting was way off the mark against Texas A&M, and they lost their first SEC game and just their second overall. But after going 1 of 18 from behind the arc Thursday in College Station, the Wildcats came home to Lexington and beat Arkansas 89-69 on Sunday on 13 of 28 shooting from long range. The toughest part of Kentucky's schedule starts this week, with 6 of its 9 remaining regular season games against ranked foes. The loss of star center Ayoka Lee, who is out indefinitely after breaking a bone in her foot, on January 19 against Arizona State, impacted the Wildcats right away. They lost their next game, 63-53 on Saturday at Colorado. That ended K-State's 14-game winning streak and was the Wildcats' lowest point total of the season. The Wildcats will have to regroup as a team, which won't be easy. The Sooners were one of the teams that needed a bounce-back victory, and they got it. After a 41-point loss at South Carolina on January 19, they used a week of practice to work on themselves. Then Sunday, they defeated Georgia 86-55. This week will be challenging again, with 2 ranked opponents. Last week was as difficult as expected for injury-depleted Maryland, with losses at Ohio State and at home to top-ranked UCLA. Bree McDaniel is out for the season, knee, and Cheyenne Sellers, knee, is out indefinitely. At least there's this. After facing ranked foes in 7 of their last 9 games, the Terps have only one currently ranked opponent in their remaining 9 regular season games, March 2, a rematch with the Buckies. But that doesn't mean the unranked Big Ten opponents are pushovers. The Wolfpack started the season at No. 9 in the Power Rankings in mid-November, then fell out the next week. 2.5 months later, they are back. NC State, coming off victories over Syracuse and Virginia Tech, is 8-1 in the ACC, tied with Duke for second place. Those longtime Triangle rivals meet Monday at 7 p.m. ET on ESPN2. Another team that spent one previous week in the Power Rankings, in December, is back. The Spartans have won 5 in a row, including a 30-point blowout of rival Michigan on the Wolves.